Hello everyone, I'm Chris from CodeLearning and I'm really very excited to come your way with this JavaScript video series, which is actually meant for newbies, or if you like, beginners. And in this particular video series, I'm going to explain everything that I do so that anyone at all can follow along with this particular video series. So I'd like to start by both asking this question and answering it at the same time. So the question is, what is JavaScript? So JavaScript is popularly known as the language of the web. It was created in 1995 by Brendan Eich at Netscape, and the language was later standardized in 2000. Now, JavaScript is a very dynamic language, and the reason why I say this is because JavaScript can run on the client side, that is inside a web browser, and JavaScript can also be run on the server side, that is with the help of Node.js. Again, JavaScript is responsible for most of the user interactions that is normally seen with web applications and also websites. So we can all confirm that today websites have become more smarter. They are more interactive in the sense that we can do a lot with websites. And some of the reasons I can attribute to this is the use of JavaScript. Now, the second question I also like to ask and answer again is, why learn JavaScript? And I just have three answers to this question. So the first answer is that JavaScript is fun to learn, as we'll see in the videos to come. It's a very interesting language to learn. You can start learning JavaScript today and maybe 2 hours later, you are able to do a lot of things with it. Now that brings me to the second reason why anybody at all should consider learning JavaScript. And that reason is JavaScript is relatively easy to learn. So as compared to other programming languages, anybody at all can pick up JavaScript really quickly. Now, the third reason why anybody should consider learning JavaScript is that the language is very, very popular. So currently, JavaScript is one of the most popular programming languages out there on the internet. Okay, so now that we've learned what JavaScript is and why we should consider learning it, let's head over to our code editor and see how we can start writing some JavaScript code. So the code editor of my choice is going to be VS Code, which is a very amazing code editor. Now I've gone ahead and created a folder on my desktop with the name of AAA, which I'm going to open in my code editor. So I'll go to File, Open Folder, and I'm going to select this folder here, AAA. Then we select this button here. So as we can see, our folder has been opened. Now we can simply close this welcome page. And inside this folder here, we're going to create a new file. So I'm going to say new file. And we're going to call the file index.html. Let's hit enter. And let's generate a very basic HTML code. Now let's save all this. So there are two ways that we can use JavaScript inside our HTML project. The first method is by embedding the JavaScript code into the HTML document. And the second method is using what we call an external JavaScript file. So that is writing the JavaScript code in its own file and then linking that inside your HTML document. So let's start with the first method. Now to embed a JavaScript code in an HTML document, we are going to be using the script tag, or if you like, the script element, which is basically made up of an opening script tag and then a closing script tag. Now in between our opening script tag and also the closing script tag, we can basically write any valid JavaScript code here. So since we have not learned any JavaScript code, I'm not going to do anything fancy here. Let's just do an alert. In case you don't know what an alert is, don't worry at all. We are going to cover all these things later. So we are going to have alert. And this function here accepts a string. So we can say it should alert hello world. And let's end this with a semicolon. Save our work. And we are going to right click anywhere in this document and select open with live server. So we can see that a pop-up has just shown with the text of hello world. So let's click on OK. And that is some of the wonderful things about JavaScript. So now that we've learned how to embed JavaScript code into our HTML documents, now let's take a look at how to bring in JavaScript from another file. So I'm going to take out all this. In fact, I don't even need this. So let's save all this. And then we are going to create another file inside our AAA folder. We're going to call it JS file.js. Let's hit enter. And basically in this file, we are going to write all the JavaScript code we want. So let's do an alert. And we are going to do 2 + 3. and we'll end this with a semicolon and save all this. And our JavaScript file is ready for import into our index.html file. So now that we are finished with our JS file, let's simply go to our index.html file, and we are going to link our JavaScript file. So we are going to say script, and we are going to supply an attribute called src, and this src stands for source. So this is where we supply the path to our JavaScript file, which is external, by the way. We spoke about this earlier on. Now, because our index.html file and the JavaScript file are all in the same level, we are simply going to supply only the name and the file extension of our JavaScript file. So let's do that. We're going to say js file.js. Let's save all this, and then we right click and open this with live server. And as we can see, we get an alert box which answers the question of 2 plus 3, and of course the answer is 5. So let's click on OK, and let's go back to our code editor. And so basically those are the two different ways in which we can include JavaScript into our HTML projects. So the next thing we are going to take a look at is comments. So it is very good to document our code, because most of the times when we write code, we can pick the same code that we have written and we can even make sense out of it. And it's not only about you, the one who wrote the code, it also has to do with another programmer. So we document code so that if another programmer picks your work, that person can follow what you have written. So we do all these things using what we call comments. Now, one thing I want us to know is that a comment is not run. So any comment that I enter here is not going to be executed. So let's say I want to write some piece of information that tells anybody reading our code what this particular piece of code does. That is where comments come in. So if you want to write a single line comment, we are simply going to use / 2 /. So we are going to say // You can see that now it has turned green. So if I say this line of code shows an alert. So let's end this and save everything. Now when I run this code, whatever I've written as a comment will not be executed. The only code that is going to be executed is my alert function, which I've passed 2 plus 3, and we're going to get an answer of 5. So let's go back to our browser, and we are going to reload the browser. Cancel this. Let's click on OK, reload, and we can see we get the alert which answers 2 plus 3, which is of course 5 again. Let's click on OK, and let's go back to our code editor. And so this is how we write a single line comment. Now, if for any reason at all the piece of text you want to write as your comment is longer than one line, that is where a multi-line comment comes in play. So to write a multi-line comment, we are basically going to have a / and then we are going to have a star. Then we can come down and have now a star followed by a / again. So in between this / and star, and also our star and / we can write any comments at all that we want. So maybe we can say this is an alert, and maybe we have gotten to the end. We can come down here, and it basically shows the answer to 2 plus 3. So let's save all this. Now let's go back to our web browser, and we can see we got an alert of 5. And what is happening is simply that whatever we write as a comment doesn't get executed. So this is our single line comment, and this is our multi-line comment. So I think that is going to be all for this particular video. And if you enjoyed this video, I urge you to click on the subscribe button, as it encourages me to create more of these kinds of videos. And if there is anything I left out, or there is something you would like to see in the next video, you can write that in the comment section below. Bye for now.